Welcome everyone to today's explainer. Look, if you live in New York State and you rely on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, then you are absolutely in the right place right now. Because let's be real, navigating state bureaucracy, it can genuinely feel like trying to solve a giant puzzle in the dark, especially when the rules around reporting your income seem to just constantly shift. So consider this explainer your ultimate survival guide. We're going to help you master the system, dodge those penalties, and most importantly, keep your family's food security totally intact.
Are you risking your SNAP benefits without even knowing it? Stay tuned to learn how a simple income change could affect your benefits and what you can do to stay compliant. Okay, let's dive into this roadmap for today. First, the high stakes of SNAP. Then, what changes to report, followed by timelines and strict consequences. After that, how to report your changes, preparing your verification documents, and finally, troubleshooting and essential resources. All right, Section 1, the high stakes of SNAP. Why reporting matters. So SNAP is an absolute lifeline for millions across New York State, right? But here's the thing. It is definitely not a set it and forget it kind of program. Your SNAP benefits can go up, they can go down, or they can even close completely based on your current monthly income. The whole system dynamically calibrates your monthly allotment against your household's net and gross income. Think about it. If you start making more money and you fail to report it, you're risking some serious overpayments. Or, on the flip side, what if you lose your job or your hours are unexpectedly cut? If you don't report that, you might actually be missing out on a critical increase in benefits that your family desperately needs right now. Keeping this information up to date is literally the only reliable way to protect your food budget. Moving right along to Section 2, what changes to report? Know your rules. Okay, New York State doesn't treat every single SNAP recipient exactly the same. They actually divide households into specific reporting categories, and your specific category dictates exactly what you are mandated to tell the government. So the crucial point is that the vast majority of New York SNAP recipients fall under the simplified reporter category. Sometimes you'll hear this called a 6-month reporter. Now, the structure is actually a good thing. It's designed to protect you from having to report every tiny little temporary fluctuation in your paycheck. You're only mandated to report an income change during your certification period if your household's total gross monthly income, and remember that's the amount before taxes and deductions, spikes above 130% of the federal poverty level for your household size. Now, let's contrast that with 10-day or change reporters. Because these households usually have fixed incomes, often with no earned income at all, or where all the adults are elderly or disabled, the state's rules are actually a lot tighter, mainly because sudden changes are just way less expected. If you fall into this smaller category, you have to report any change in the source of your income, or if your earned or unearned income shifts by more than $100. You also have to report changes in who lives with you, if you move to a new address, or, and this is a big one, if your cash and savings suddenly exceed $2,250, or $3,500 if someone in your household is disabled or over 60. Which brings us to Section 3, timelines and strict consequences, beating the clock. Listen, beating the clock is everything in the SNAP system, and the state, frankly, does not offer much wiggle room. When you cross one of those income thresholds we were just talking about, you must report it within 10 days after the end of the calendar month in which the change actually happened. So let's say you get a massive raise on July 6th that pushes you over your limit. You've got until August 10th to file an LDSS 3151 change report form. On the other hand, halfway through your certification period, which is usually right at the 6-month mark, you'll get an LDSS 4310 periodic report in the mail. And for that one, you have exactly 10 days from when you receive the notice to fill it out, sign the whole shebang, and send it back. And here is exactly why those deadlines matter so much. If you receive more benefits than you are legally entitled to just because you didn't report an income spike, well, that's considered an overpayment. And the state will find out. They use automated tax and wage database matches to track this stuff, and you will be hit with an overpayment claim. Basically, you'll have to pay all that money back. Worse still, if they determine the omission was an intentional program violation, you could face total disqualification from SNAP altogether. No way around it. It's a huge risk. All right, let's get into Section 4, how to report your changes, digital and analog pathways. Now that we know the rules, let's look at the practical execution of this. Interestingly enough, the tools you use depend entirely on what part of New York State you call home. And this brilliantly illustrates the high contrast difference between the bifurcated upstate and NYC reporting systems. If you live in one of the 57 upstate counties, your digital pathway is split in two. You log into the My Benefits website to actually report the change, but you have to use a completely separate mobile app called NY Submit to upload your proof. Pretty clunky, right? But if you live in the 5 boroughs of New York City, it's a super convenient one-stop shop. The Human Resources Administration, the HRA, runs the Access HRA web portal and mobile app, where you can submit your case change and upload your documents all in the exact same place. So let's just walk through the digital process really quickly. Step 1, log into your regional portal. Step 2, submit a case change request. And Step 3, upload your verification documents. Now, pay super close attention here because this is a trap so many people fall into, especially if you live upstate. The Upstate NY Doc Submit app, it's literally just a camera for your proof. It cannot, I repeat, cannot accept photos of the actual LDSS 3151 change report or LDSS 4310 periodic report forms. You absolutely have to submit the actual forms through My Benefits, or you have to hand them in physically. Of course, if you prefer paper or maybe you just don't have reliable internet access, you are perfectly fine to use analog methods. That's totally okay. You can just fill out the LDSS 3151 change report form and mail or fax it over to your local Department of Social Services. Now, for New York City residents, there's a centralized processing center for this. You can fax your paperwork to 917-639-2544, or you can mail it to P.O. Box 29008 out in Brooklyn. You can also drop it off in person at any local SNAP center using their scanning kiosks, if that's easier for you.
Next up, Section 5, preparing your verification documents, the paper trail.
Because look, it's just not enough to tell the state your income changed. You have to prove it with a really solid paper trail. Here is the gold standard list for verification. If your income changed, you generally need to provide your last 4 weeks of pay stubs or 2 biweekly stubs. If you lost your job, you'll need an employer statement showing your last day worked and the exact amount of your final check. Unearned income needs proof too, guys, like an unemployment letter or an SSI award letter. Oh, and here's a pro tip for you. Before you sit down to report your change online, gather all these documents, lay them flat on a well-lit table, and take really clear, readable photos on your phone. Trust me, it makes the upload step completely seamless and saves you a massive headache later on.
Almost done. Section 6, troubleshooting and essential resources, getting help. We all know that even with the absolute best preparation, the system can be overwhelming and mistakes happen. It's human. If you're worried you misreported something or you just aren't sure if your documents actually went through, don't just guess and hope for the best. Track your case status directly on your My Benefits or Access HRA account. And hey, if you need actual human intervention, upstate residents should call their local county DSS office directly. For New York City residents, you've got a dedicated lifeline. Just call the HRA info line at 718-557-1399. Their automated system is available 24/7, and staff can help during regular business hours in multiple different languages. Now, before we wrap things up, it is really important to note this information is a general guideline. Consult with a professional or your local office for personalized advice related to your specific SNAP situation, as regulations may change. The SNAP system is incredibly strict, I know, but remember, the caseworkers at your local district office are actually there to help you navigate it. So please, don't be afraid to ask them for personalized guidance. So I'll leave you with this final kind of provocative thought. Could your recent raise, or maybe a new roommate moving in, silently cost you your grocery budget? The rules are crystal clear, but the responsibility to report falls squarely on you. Check your reporting status, verify your category, and make absolutely sure your paperwork is up to date today. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and stay compliant out there.